I had a dream to go to the league.
What is up, Godcast?
Welcome to another episode of Theology Tuesday. Today we're gonna
Welcome to another episode.
Yo, what's
of
up,
Theology
everybody?
Tuesday.
Welcome back. Theology Tuesday. How long has it been, bro?
It's been a grip.
Yes, it has. But we are on our grind
Yes, sir.
once again. Welcome back to Theology Tuesday. I don't know which episode this one is, but this one's gonna be a banger. We're gonna talk about a very good topic. I feel like
We always talk about great topics, bro.
that's true.
But this one's
Very interesting. It's a question that a lot of non-Christians ask.
a lot of Christians too, bro.
Yeah, it's a lot of non-Christians ask. A lot of Christians ask to know how to answer to non-Christians.
Exatamente.
See the correlation,
I see it, bro.
parallel universe.
Yes, sir. The
don't know what I'm
multiverse.
I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Anyways, what are we going to talk about today? Gabe. I almost said a different name.
Today, we will be talking about how can God have all the power and be loving, and yet there be evil?
How?
Man, how?
Do you guys know? Let us know in the comment section down below if you already know the answer. If not, sit back, relax, grab some
Popcorn.
popcorn. That's
Or
not too healthy for you,
Grab
though.
some creatine
Almonds.
and protein.
Protein.
No, not protein. This is
Oh, you mix it
pre-workout.
together?
No, this
Oh,
is
I was about to say.
pre-workout and creatine because I'm hitting the gym after this. So you're gonna see me itch and
See,
tingle.
I'm disciplined and wake up at 6 a.m. and hit the gym then. But hey, anyways, so sit back, relax. Let's answer this question together, guys. As always, this is the Apologetic Study Bible. Great study Bible if you're trying to learn how to defend your faith in Christianity. And we're going to be using that to help us answer this question.
Yes, sir.
Today's an article by my man, Gregory E. Gansel.
Yeah.
I think that's how you pronounce his name.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're the kind of like the foundation for us today is Job chapter 1. Everyone kind of knows about the story of Job, you know,
Yeah.
how he had a lot of faith in God. Even through the hard times, he never lost faith. He lost everything. He lost his family, lost his kids, lost all his riches, and he never lost faith of God.
There's
right?
even been a movie released recently as well. I forget the name though,
Oh, I
but
don't
it's
know.
like based off. It's the same people that make Chosen. They made a movie based off the story of Job, but in
modern
like,
days.
no, not even the modern days, like the future. Like you could like travel through parallel universes and stuff.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah, so basically, as we all know, guys, we've heard the story of Job. If you want to go find out the whole story of Job, as always, go read your own Bibles, right? Open up there and read it. It's not that many chapters. I'll tell you exactly how many chapters it is right now. It's 42 chapters. But hey, go read it. It's a good story. Teaches a lot. Honestly, I love Job, honestly. It's one of my favorite books in the Bible. Basically, the devil went to God and was like, yo, let me test this man's right here or he said, let's just read it, you know? All right. You want to start it off for us,
No
brother?
quoting. Yeah, sure. All right, my friends. Job chapter 1, verse 1, for those that want to follow along. In the land of Uz, or Uz, there lived a man whose name was Job. This man was blameless and upright. He feared God and shunned evil. He had 7 sons and 3 daughters, and he owned 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 donkeys. He had a large number of servants. He was the greatest man among all the people of the East. So Brody was getting it, bro.
Mm-hmm.
He had it.
He
He
had-
had it all.
He had it.
He had it. He was standing on business.
He was standing on business for real.
His sons used to hold feasts in their homes on their birthdays. They would invite the 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. When a period of feasting had run its course, Job would make arrangements for them to be purified. Early in the morning, he would sacrifice a burnt offering for each of them, thinking, perhaps my children have sinned and cursed God in their hearts. This was Job's regular custom. One day, the angels came to present themselves before the Lord and Satan. And Satan also came with them. The Lord said to Satan, where have you come from? Satan answered the Lord, from roaming throughout the earth, going back and forth on it. Then the Lord said to Satan, have you considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him. He is blameless and upright, a man who fears God and shuns evil. Does Job fear God for nothing? Satan replied. Have you not put a hedge around him and his household and everything he has? You have blessed the work of his hands, so that his flocks and his herds are spread throughout the land. But now, stretch out your hand and strike everything he has, and he will surely curse you to your face.
There we go. Is that the whole chapter?
No.
Oh, okay.
The Lord said to Satan, Very well then, everything he has is in your power, but on the man himself do not lay a finger. Then Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. One day, when Job's sons and daughters were feasting and drinking wine at the oldest brother's house, a messenger came to Job and said, The oxen were plowing and the donkeys were grazing nearby, and Sabeans attacked them out of nowhere and made off with them. They put the servants to the sword, and I am the only one who has escaped to tell you. While he was still speaking, another messenger came and said, The fire of God fell from the heavens and burnt up the sheep and the servants, and I'm the only one who escaped to tell you. While he was still speaking, another messenger came and said, The Chaldeans formed 3 raiding parties and swept down your camels and made off with them. They put the servants to the sword, and I'm the only one who escaped to tell you. While he was still speaking, yet another messenger came and said, Your sons and daughters were feasting and drinking wine at the oldest brother's house, when suddenly a mighty wind swept in from the desert and struck the 4 corners of the house. It collapsed on them, and they are dead, and I'm the only one who has escaped to tell you. At this, Job got up and tore his robe and shaved his head. Then he fell to the ground in worship and said, Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will depart. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised. In all this, Job did not sin by charging God with wrongdoing.
Amen to that. So
It's crazy.
yeah, in a blink of an eye, everything was taken away from him.
Everything.
And what did he do?
Praise God.
He praised God. He tore his clothes, shaved his head, which is a sign of basically repentance.
Yeah.
Right. And he never blamed God for anything. So let's dive into the article here. Now that we read that, how can God have all power and be loving yet there be evil? Let's do this. What philosophers call the problem of evil is a family of arguments from the existence of nature of evil to the conclusion that God does not or probably does not exist. All right. The oldest form of the argument is that the mere existence of evil is logically incompatible with God's existence. If God exists, evil could not. And if evil exists, God could not. Makes kind of sense, right? If you think about it, if there really is a God in this world, why is there evil? Right. Let's keep going. I call this argument the charge of contradiction. The claim is that there is a logical contradiction in asserting that God is all powerful, God is all loving, and that evil exists. Wouldn't this kind of God eliminate all evil? That's the biggest question that everyone always asks, right? If God is all loving, why is there evil? Wouldn't he take away all evil from the world? The existence of God in this view is on par with a square circle. Given the existence of evil, it is impossible for God to exist. The challenge is to show that theism is logically consistent. Few today, including atheists, think this argument succeeds. If God might have a good reason to allow evil, then it is possible that both God and evil exist. We need not know what God's actual reasons are, but if it is possible he has one, then the argument is defeated. He allowed, when we read it here in Job, he allowed what happened to Job.
Right.
He told Satan, look, consider my servant Job. You know, he has no evil in him and he shuns evil. And then Satan was like, yeah, but you give him everything. Take away. See what happens when you take everything away. He's like, okay, go ahead, do it. He allowed it to happen, right? Now, this part here is amazing where it says, we need not know the reasons of God and why he allows evil to happen. But let's keep going here. Most think it is possible that God has good reasons to allow evil, and that, therefore, there is no contradiction between God's existence and the existence of evil. Today, the most important form of the argument from evil against the existence of God is called the evidential argument from evil. The one who presses this argument admits that the existence of God and the reality of evil are not logically incompatible. The argument is that the amount and kinds of evil we find in the world is strong evidence against the existence of God. Even though it is possible that God has a reason to allow the evils we find in the world, it does not seem likely that there are good reasons for some of the evils we see. We cannot prove that there is no good reason, but if we have lots of cases in which it seems as though there is none, we will conclude that there probably is no good reason to allow these evils. If it is true that probably there is no good reason to allow these cases of evil, then it is probable that God does not exist. This argument is called the evidential argument because we cannot prove that there is no good reason to allow the particular evils we are thinking about. These evils do then look like good evidence that God does not exist, right? So that's an argument that people use. If there is such these evils in the world, there can't be a God, right? Because God will just poof magically, everything happens and there's no evil, right? But the roots of this all is we have to go back to sin, which we'll dive into here as well. In order to begin to answer this argument, we must think about the claim that is probable that no good reason exists to allow the evil in question. Why should we believe this is true? The one who puts this argument forward will appeal to cases of evil in which it is difficult to find a reason that might fit. Does this mean we ought to conclude that it is probable that there is no reason? No. The reasoning here goes as follows. It seems like there is no reason to allow this evil. Therefore, probably there is no reason to allow it. Sometimes this kind of reasoning is strong, and other times it is weak. Let me illustrate. The argument is of the form. It seems like there is no X, therefore, probably there is no X. Right? So the Bible has numerous cases where one could mount this argument. Let's take in case Lazarus' death in John 11. If you read John 11, it talks about Lazarus' death. Lazarus was likely in the prime of his life. Bible does explain that he wasn't an old dude. He was still probably in his 30s. He was around his 30s
because him and Jesus grew up together.
Yeah, so. And he was Jesus' cousin.
Yeah.
The citizens of his Lazarus' tomb, he prayed and then called Lazarus to come out of the tomb 4 days after his death. The reason for Lazarus' sickness, death, Jesus' delay, and Lazarus' resuscitation was that God's glory might be seen, right? And we see this. This is kind of jumping ahead a little bit, but we see this in the story of Job as well.
Yeah.
Right? All of this was for the God's glory to be seen. He allowed this plus more to happen to Job because Satan once again comes to, when we keep reading Job, Satan comes again to God when all the angels are presenting themselves, and they said the same thing.
And not only that as well. Let's say, for example, when we look back at when the Israelites were in Egypt, when they were trying to get away from Pharaoh, God could have easily made Pharaoh let them go on the first time he asked. Mm-hmm, but no, he allowed 7 times for Pharaoh to
10
say
times.
no. 10 times, sorry. Say no, 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 so that his glory may be shown.
Yeah, exactly.
So many times it happens in the Bible, too.
You're reading that right now, right?
Yeah.
You see where it says God hardened Pharaoh's heart, so he would not let the people go.
Yeah. Like, at first I was like, why? Like, why? And then it gets to a point where he was like, so God did this so he could show his glory.
Yep.
And I was like,
to his people.
Makes sense, bro.
Exactly.
Sense.
Yeah, bro. God, at the end of the day, right, one of the 5 solas is Soli Deo Gloria, which means the glory of God alone. Everything is done to the glory of God alone. But let's keep going here. Some of the citizens might have thought that they had a strong case against the existence of God the 3 days after Lazarus died. But subsequent events place the evil of Lazarus' death in a much different context. In light of this context, Lazarus' death is seen to be a part of a much greater good than anyone in Bethany could imagine. Right? And I mean that kind of speaks for itself. Lazarus died. 3 days passed, or you could say 4 days. Jesus came. Martha and Mary were like, "You took so long to come. Now our brother is dead," and he's like, "Yo, relax. Let me show you the glory of God. Let me show you why did He allow this to happen. Let me show you why He delayed as well, and everything, you know." And then on the fourth day, He resuscitated him from the dead.
Eu estou aqui.
Oh Lord,
Bro, sometimes I be reading and thinking like, bro, it must have been fun, bro. I would have been always doing some troll stuff.
yeah. I got no comment. All right. The pattern that we see in this and numerous other biblical cases shows that there are times when we can't say if God has a reason to allow this particular case of evil, we would probably know what it is. There are two reasons we can't always make this claim. First, we can figure out reasons that God might have for many, perhaps most, of the evils in the world. For example, both human freedom and a stable cause-effect universe are necessary for any meaningful action. Meaningful action, then, may be a reason that God allows various kinds of evil. Second, so that's basically talking about how evil can come from our own will,
Yeah.
right? Like from when we sin. Second, it is reasonable to think that God will have reasons that we cannot grasp for allowing evils in our lives, and that's something very hard that Christians just can't wrap their heads around. Of like, why would God allow this? Why would God allow? Sometimes it's not for us to understand why He would allow it,
Right.
and I think we've talked about this
We
a lot.
have. A lot.
Yeah, from
Especially
like
with everything that
yeah,
happened recently as
from
well.
the, yeah your recent situations and stuff. I've said that to you many times. I'm like, brother, sometimes there is
There-
no explanation.
Right. Like
We don't need to know.
exactly. Like we were joking about this before we even started, where Tiago was like, "Hey, like this is what we're gonna be talking about," and he was like, "What's the answer?" And I was like, "The answer is clearly it's none ya business.
Yeah.
God's business. He needs to know. We don't need to know anything."
Exactly.
Honestly, it's such a simple little answer. Like, bro, sometimes we just have to stop questioning God for certain things that happen in our lives. Because, dude, whether we like it or not, in the end of it, we even talked about it last night. In the end of it, God knows all things.
Yeah.
God knows the best outcomes for us.
Yeah, exactly.
So things may happen where you may think it'd be the end of the world. You may lose everything like Job did. You may not even lose anything, but let's say you get like into a big injury, right? Let's put it into an example. You're playing college football and you get into a huge injury, even though you have this dream of going to the NFL. You're gonna make it to the NFL, but God has a different plan in your life because He sees that maybe the NFL is gonna lead you far away from Him.
Exactly.
The NFL is gonna do all this stuff and bring you into a dark path. So God puts you in a better position to where you have eternal salvation with Him.
Yeah.
Like it's certain things like that. In my case as well, I see everything that happened to me, and I was like, God, why, God, why, God, why in the beginning, and then now I'm like, God, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Like all I can do is thank you because I've grown so much in my faith with God, and so many things have changed in our lives for the better.
Yeah.
Because of everything that happened. You know.
Yeah, bro. It's crazy the way that God works. Like, and I'm sure even in your situation, there's still sometimes you're like, I still don't understand.
Yeah.
Like you have decided to just put your faith in God.
Yeah, bro. It's just
And that's honestly the story of Job. Like all those things happen, and he's like, I don't understand what I did, Lord, but forgive me. He repents.
yeah.
Like forgive me. Whatever I did something to deserve this evil. Job says that to himself and to God. I did something to deserve this evil. His mom, his wife comes up to him and is like, "Curse your God! Look what he's doing to you." And he literally rebukes his wife, loses his wife as well. He has a few friends that come to him to give him some advice, not really great advice. until this one young man comes. There's this verse that I love in Job that it basically talks about how the young man comes and he's like, I know I'm young, but wisdom. He says, I need to find it exactly, but I'm not gonna go look through it right now. But basically, the young man is like, wisdom does not come from experience and age, but from the Most High, right? And I'm like,
And you know, I think is great about that as well. The whole young person perspective. If we look at young kids, right, when your parents yell at you when you're young, you're gonna be pissed off for a couple of minutes. Let's say you're gonna be pissed off at your parents for 30 minutes, and a couple of after those 30 minutes, it's like nothing happened. You love your parents unconditionally, like nothing even happened. So it's like I think about it like that as well. If we have the love in the heart of a child, in the mind of a child, we're not gonna just curse God for the bad things that happen, like the adults would. The adults, if something happens to somebody who doesn't truly love God and doesn't truly have God in their heart, they're going to have hatred, like many people do. Something can go bad, like for example, let's say your family member dies, your sister dies because of something happens. You start to Emily, I love you. I'm not saying that. Okay,
I'm joking.
But let's say if that happens to certain people, they'd curse God forever. They never follow God ever again because of that happening.
Yeah.
And then you see that could happen with many people. The adults will never follow Christ again because of those small things. But a child, like something could happen to a child where their parents could spank them, bro. You go to your room, cry, debate, running away, pack your bag. But 30 minutes later, you're back downstairs hugging your mom. Like nothing ever happened.
Yep. Because at the end of the day, as a child, the one person you trust the most is your parents.
Exactly.
It's like all you really know. And that's kind of the relationship we got to have with God. Yeah. He's our Heavenly Father, you know? And Job, one thing that I want to specify is Job, even before God restored everything tenfold for him, he had already repented. Yeah. So even if God didn't restore everything tenfold for him, Job was still going to be happy. You know, he just did it. God restored everything tenfold because to show his glory. Right here, where it shows right here, for God's glory to be seen. And because he allowed that stuff to happen, you know, so he's going to be like, I got you, my son. You know?
God usually works in that way as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever God gives, he can take away. And whatever he takes away, he will give back tenfold, depending on you and your heart and your faith as well.
God gives and God takes away. At the end of the day, we still have to trust him and thank God every single day. You have to thank God for the very breath that is in your lungs every single day. Although he should have and could have killed me in my sleep last night for every word, every thought, everything that was in my heart the day before, he chose to woke me up in the morning and put breath in my lungs. So be grateful for that.
Exactly.
Let's continue here. I'm gonna rewind a little bit because I kind of forgot where we were.
We're at
I'm gonna just start here with there are two reasons.
Yeah, right there.
There are two reasons we can't always make this claim. First, we can figure out the reasons that God might have for many, perhaps most, of the evils in the world. For example, both human freedom and a stable cause-effect universe are necessary for any meaningful action. Meaningful action, then, may be a reason that God allows various kinds of evil. Second, it is reasonable to think that God will have reasons that we cannot grasp for allowing evils in our lives. In fact, to think that we should be able to figure out God's reasons for allowing every case of evil implies that we think God is not much smarter than we are. If God is the almighty creator of the universe, there will be evil for which the reason we cannot discern. This is exactly what we should expect if there is a God. It cannot be counted as evidence against God, right? So what I love about this right here is it goes like 10 levels deeper, because we could have easily just sat here and within 10 minutes been like, because we sinned, that's why there's evil in the world.
Because it's human nature to be evil.
Yeah. And I could just open up Genesis and read you guys the first few chapters and show you why there's evil in the world, right? Because we sinned and God cursed even the ground we walk in because of sin. And we are cursed because of sin. But this goes like 10 levels deeper. Like, yo, don't question the creator or why there's evil in the world, you know? Let's wrap this up here. So even though it might seem at first glance that there are no good reasons to allow certain evils, so we see, this does not provide strong evidence that these evils are really unjustified. The argument that the kinds of evil we see make it unlikely that God exists has been seen to be pretty weak. The physiological problem of evil has to do with what is reasonable to believe. To what degree is it reasonable to believe in God in light of what we seem to know about evil? We have seen that evil does not contradict God's existence, nor is it strong evidence against the existence of God. The evil in the world, then, does not make it unreasonable to believe in the all-powerful and all-loving God. Conclusions.
The end.
Right? So, to sum it up, guys, that's not an argument you can make about the existence of God. Oh, there's evil in the world. And which was the purpose of this lesson today. How can God have all power and be loving and yet there be evil? Right? That's a questioning of the existence of God. First and foremost, we can't grasp at everything the decisions that God make. We are the creation. He's the creator. You know, he's the almighty creator of the universe. He has his reasons for everything. Secondly, these are weak arguments against the existence of God.
Yep.
Right? Because there's two main reasons why there's evil. One, for our own free will, as we saw here, in freedom, cause and effect.
Yep.
We do something, there's an effect to it.
Yep.
We sow, there's a harvest time to reap it.
Yep.
Right? And two, God has a reason for everything, right? In
Yep.
the bad times and the good times, put your trust in Jesus Christ, and you'll get through it. There's such a peace and joy and love with Jesus Christ, bro, that fills you, that like you could be going through the craziest time in your life, the desert, and you're not worried, right? You still trust God. You trust God so much, like Job did, and have such great faith that Job did, that like he says, and if you guys go and read in the story, I have to have done something wrong to lead me to this,
How much
or
you trust
whatever
God.
it is, God. I trust you, and I know that you'll get me through this.
Bro, and just like try to put it in perspective as well. Everything that he lost, bro, all in the same like hour.
Yep.
All in the same hour, he lost all his herd, all his camel, all his children.
Basically, all his
Eventually lost
riches
life.
and his
he lost
children.
everything, bro. He
Yep.
had nothing but himself.
Yep.
Like imagine your entire like family and everything you have just poof disappear. And like for somebody to first just think, God, I'm sorry for what I did, but I trust in you. Like, dude,
That faith is crazy, bro.
you have to
That's
like
an
be on
that's
some
a crazy
different
amount of faith.
level, bro.
But that's the way we should be, though. That's
Exactly.
that's a great example of how we should be as followers of Christ, right? We
Mhm.
need to trust Him
Follow
always.
Follow
And it gets even worse for Job too. Like God goes ahead and allows Satan to touch his health, you know, and
Yeah.
he becomes leprous, and literally has nothing except for leprosy.
Damn.
So it's crazy. It's an amazing story. You guys should go read it, Job. It's 42 chapters, but be disciplined. Go read your Bibles, as I always say.
Gabe's already itching.
Yep, it's time for Gabe to go to the gym now.
Yes, sir.
But yes, guys, that's it right there. I hope you guys learned a little bit of something new today. I hope you as a Christian can answer this question now to your friends. I hope you as an unbeliever has understood why there's evil in this world and why God exists at the same time as evil. And yeah, that's all I got for today.
Make sure you guys are watching the Sunday episodes.
Yes.
We just released one Sunday. Well, no, actually Monday we released it because we had some things. But we released
Technical difficulties.
Yeah. So we released it today. Well, yesterday for you guys that are watching on Tuesday. So go watch that. Leave a like this one as well. Share with your friends. We'll be back Sunday, guys. We love you. We wish you guys have an amazing week. We'll catch you Sunday. Peace.
Peace.